Well, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome all. I'm Joe Pierce. I get to be lay leader, worship associate today. I'm honored to do so. We welcome you here today to our worship service. We celebrate each week. We're mindful of the principles of our free faith. To describe a little about Unitarian Universalism, let me read this, please, from the Reverend Forest Church. In our faith, God is not a given, God is a question. God is not defined for us, God is defined by us. Our views are shaped and changed by our experiences. As we grow, our faith grows. We struggle with what it means to be alive and yet have to die. We probe the depths of our own being for little hints of meaning. We create a faith by which we can live, and we struggle to live up to it. Throughout, each of us is fated to travel his or her own path. But in the larger sense, we have chosen to journey together because we find that that is helpful. We find that it is good. And here we practice a free faith, but it's also one that requires responsibility. We have a church covenant. We read it. We recite it together each week. It's a shared agreement. It reminds us of our closely held values. The mission of our church is we learn, we lead, we love. Please let me take a minute to draw your attention to the announcements. They're in the order of service, and I have a couple of extras to start with. First, let me say we have HEB cards, and we usually sell these after the service, and if you purchase HEB cards, the church gets, I think, a 4% cut in it. So please buy HEB cards. And now we're going to have them before and after the service. Look for the lady with the red hat. We want to give away money to those who need it. So we're asking you to help us pick those who are in need. And in your order of service is a suggestion form. Please give us some ideas of folks, organizations, causes that you know to be worthy, and we'll ask you to put this into the collection plate as it goes around. Thanks. Starting today is an exciting new program led by Reverend Chris. Spirit in Practice from 12:30 to 2:30 and for the next 5 Sundays. Please read this. Are you interested in developing a life-enhancing spiritual practice or wanting to learn more about the possibilities? Join us to explore this. Curiosity Group meets Wednesday, March 7, noon, and Jim will present our X chromosomes. Is it misbehaving or behaving? All are welcome to come. Bring a lunch. Join the discussion. And there's more. We like to ask our visitors, if they're willing, to stand and introduce themselves so that we can recognize you and say hi and then come grab you later and share coffee and conversation with you. If it's your first, second, or third time, if you're brave enough to do so, please stand and tell us your name. Maybe tell us where you're from. Anybody brave enough, please do so.
Hi, I'm Cecilia Gregory. I'm here from here, Corpus Christi. My first time here.
Hi, Cecilia.
My name is Robert Crumley, and I just moved here a few months ago from Washington, D.C. This is my first time here.
Thanks. We're glad to have you.
Hi, I'm Michelle Martin from Washington State, and I came last week for the first time, and I enjoyed it so much. I'm back again.
They're here from both Washingtons. We've got it covered coast to coast. Anybody else? Well, we're glad you're here. Please join us after for visiting. We'd like to get to know you. And now we invite you into a time of worship.
Sure as the star, amigos, together,
Through thick and through thin,
all out or all in,
and whether it's wind, waves, or shore,
and me and you will
smile through whatever we do together, wherever we go. Wherever we go,
whatever we do.
we're gonna go through it together. We may not go far,
But sure as a star,
wherever we are, it's together. Wherever we go, we know
wherever we go, we know they go.
no fits, no fights, no feuds, and no heroes.
Amigos, together,
Through thick and through thin,
all out or all in,
and whether it's wind, waves, or shore, with you for me,
and me for you and
follow through whatever we do together, wherever we go.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Chris Hockman, and I'm so happy to be here with you this morning. And if you're visiting for the first, second, or third time, come talk to me, please, or email me, or call me. I want to talk. Today, we will be telling some embarrassing stories in our service. Times when we took a chance, even of looking the fool, and how it all turned out okay, or mostly okay in the end. And the perfect metaphor for taking a risk of looking like a fool is dancing. Dancing can be a joyous celebration of culture and connection and self-expression, or it can be a terrifying journey into fear and self-consciousness. And also, I'll just say, disclaimer, no one is going to make you dance during service today. So just take a deep breath, exhale. It'll all be fine. But here is the question we will consider today. If you have the choice to sit it out or dance, which will you do? Our chalice, they're answering the question already. These are the advanced students here. Our chalice lighting words today are from Robin Tanner, and a Windsor Bissell will be lighting our chalice this morning. This is called A Blessing for Risk Takers and Failures. Today we share in a blessing for losers, risk takers, all failures far and wide. Blessed are they who fall in the mud, who jump with gusto and rip their pants, who skin the elbows and bruise the ego, for they shall know the sweetness of risk. Blessed are they who make giant mistakes, whose intentions are good but impact has injured, who know the hot sense of regret and ask for mercy, for their hearts will know the gift of forgiveness. Blessed are they who have seen a D or an F or a C or any letter less than perfect, who are painfully familiar with the red pen and the labels such as less than, for they know the wisdom in the imperfect. Blessed are those who try again, who dust off, who wash up, extend the wish for peace, who return to sites of failure, who are dogged in their pursuit, for they will discover the secret to dreams. Blessed are they who refuse to listen to the naysayers, for their hearts will be houses of hope. Blessed are they who see beyond the surface of another, for they will be able to delight in the gift of compassion. Blessed are they who stop running the race to help a fellow traveler, who pick up the fallen, who stop for injured life, for they shall know the kindness of strangers. Blessed are they who wildly, boldly abandon winning, for they shall know the path of justice. Please rise in body or spirit for the reading of our covenant. Love is the doctrine of the church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all we hold sacred. All right, it's time for our first hymn, Morning Has Come. I'd now like to invite the children and the young at heart up to our story quilt. And today we have a guest storyteller, Joe Flores.
Test, test. Good morning. Our story for today is called Under the Mambo Moon. On summer nights, Papi lets me out at the music store. Papi says, you can read people's souls by the music they listen to. That hearts fly home when the music's just right. Papi says, people come here to buy dreams and memories. Mrs. Garcia gets off at the bus stop in front of the store. She walks slowly, one hand on her back, trying to push away an ache. She's been cleaning houses all day, but she still smiles and stops to talk. Juan hangs out by the door, pretending not to watch the girls go by. A boy that handsome can only be trouble. Mrs. Garcia says Juan likes to talk music with Papi. Mrs. Garcia, on the day of my quinceañera, I wore a gown of blushing pink and a gold tiara. The tiny rosebuds on my cake matched the real ones in my bouquet, and my gifts reached the ceiling. A handsome mariachi band played all afternoon and serenaded with me with Las Mañanitas. On the day of my quinceañera, I was in mariachi heaven. Big pages. Dr. Solis enters, his white hair sticking out all over. "Hey, Doc Einstein," one calls. Dr. Solis chuckles and wipes his brow with a linen handkerchief. Catalina arrives with mangoes from the corner grocery store. She sneaks up and gives Dr. Solis a peck on the cheek. Juan blushes. Tia Pepa hurries in, her arms full of grocery bags. Catalina says, "Hasta pronto," and hides in the aisles. Juan follows. Even Dr. Solis makes a beeline for the back of the store. Tia Pepa likes to talk. Dr. Solis, just as the bomba drummers call to each other, challenging the dancers to reply, a sultry Puerto Rican breeze wind its way north and whispers in my ear. And just like the dancers who answer the call, heeding the summons, an old man becomes young again and remembers his island home. Tia Pepa, "Marisol, how are you? Anna's wedding, much to do. Choose the music, something fun. Need to please everyone. The merengue, why, that's great. Whip things up, I can't wait. Can you see it? Picture this, Anna's wedding, perfect bliss. Kiss the bride, hug the groom, move the chairs, clear the room. Find a partner, start the band, bride and groom, hand in hand. Then we'll dance, spin, and sway till the night welcomes a day. Sun comes up, take a peek, bride and groom, cheek to cheek." Mr. and Mrs. Mayer, hair slicked back, heads together, but underneath our legs twirl and swizzle like a handful of licorice whips. Shoulders straight, arms in place, but underneath our legs swivel and turn like an electric taffy pull. Eyes forward, lips closed, but underneath our legs laugh and tell secrets like kids in a candy store. Samuel, Samba school is cool. Know why? The students aim to satisfy. We play our music every night and practice till we get it right. We sew our costumes, shine our shoes, build a float, and learn new moves. All for Rio's grand parade, Carnaval, the masquerade. And on the day of our big test, we students do our very best to demonstrate with charm and ease our samba music expertise. There's only one important rule. You gotta have fun at samba school. Liana arrives 5 minutes before close. Her thin shoulders slumped under the weight of a full backpack. She says between double shifts and summer school, she can barely breathe. But tonight, she and her novio, Ruben, are going dancing no matter what. Liliana, when I salsa with Ruben, my troubles leave me like a flock of twitchy birds flying south for the season. I don't have to think, I just follow Ruben's lead, resting easy in the safety of his smile. The couples around us move to the beat of the claves, twirling and laughing, just like me and Ruben, like we're all in this together, like the whole world will be okay as long as we keep dancing. When I salsa with Ruben, life is sweet and picante at the same time. One by one, each person says, adios, ciao, good night. Papi and I clean the counters and lock up the store. We walk home beneath the street lights and neon signs, listening to the city hum in its own melody. Marisol, sometimes I get to stay up late after we get home. Papi strings lights around the patio. Mommy makes limonada, and I dust off the records. Be careful, mijita. Papi says, don't scratch the family fortune. Mommy laughs, gives Papi a wink, and we dance under the mambo moon. The end. I believe the children are going to stay in for service, except the nursery. Is the nursery open? Yes. Okay.
Excuse me. I'm overwhelmed. It's time for the offering. And our church community is given life through contributions of its members and friends. In addition to generously offering time and talents, monetary contributions are just as necessary to sustain us. It is just one more way we show our care and concern for each other and our community. I'm very happy to tell you that all 4 of the talented Bissels will be performing for us today. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Dance like your daddy. Dance like your daddy. Ha ha. Dance like your daddy. Try not to dance too. Been working way too much. I need a day off. Dang, this beat go hard. And all I wanna do, just wanna dance with you. Don't worry about the way you look. There ain't nobody judging you. Want you to dance like your daddy. Dance like your daddy. Come on now, move like your mama. You know you wanna, and dance like your daddy. And if you care what they're thinking, get in the fun, so come on. Push down that floor and shoulder roll, say push down that floor and shoulder roll, now hish to the left and hish to the right. Can you overbite? Can you old man overbite? Simon says go touch your nose when I'm saying touch your toes. My sister can't touch her toes. My daddy told me how to do my own thing. He said to let it out. He said go find your groove. Find that groove. He said go find your groove. Make sure you stand out in the crowd and show them how what you can do. I want you to dance like your daddy. Dance like your daddy. Move like your mama, you know you wanna, and dance like your daddy. And if you care what they're thinking, get in the fun, so come on. Push down that floor and shoulder roll, say push down that floor and shoulder roll, now hish to the left and hish to the right. Can you overbite? Can you old man overbite? Simon says go touch your nose, but I'm saying touch your toes. She still can't touch her toes. Dance like your daddy. Dance like your daddy. Dance like your daddy.
There we go. Is it on? Yep, it is. Okay. I'm AJ Sterling. Most of you know me. And I'm going to be telling you an embarrassing story that turned out to be mostly okay in the end. Some of you may have heard of the event RealmsCon. It's a convention where people go to talk about their different favorite TV shows and comic books and movies and books and all kinds of things. And one of the best parts of this convention is you get to dress up like these characters. And some people do that as their job. They have these amazing outfits. It's called cosplay. And some people, like me and my friends, cosplay with just whatever you found around your house. And maybe it doesn't look so great, but it's fun to do, and it's fun to be able to be a part of that community. And so, while in RealmsCon, obviously, it was not that big a deal to be dressed up in this not so good looking cosplay. But some of you may know convention food is very expensive. So we had walked away from the convention to get lunch, and we walked a little bit down the block to a Whataburger, fully dressed in our cosplay. And maybe some cosplays, they look a little normal, and you could probably pass for someone that's just a little bit odd looking. We did not. We were covered in the absolute worst looking gray paint, and we had paper mache candy cane horns hot glued to headbands on our heads, and we had painted on shirts that had the symbols of the characters we wanted to dress up as, and it was fun to do, but it looked so bad. And we walked up to this Whataburger, fully dressed in this cosplay, and ordered our food. And let me tell you, we got some looks from the patrons and the people working there. And being a restaurant close to the convention, they were somewhat used to it. They kind of expected some people to come in cosplay, but it was still very embarrassing to be in looking like that at a normal public place and have those sorts of odd looks from the patrons that really didn't realize what was going on and just saw a group of 4 teenagers looking really, really weird, even for teenagers. But at the end of the day, we got our bacon cheeseburgers and we went back to the convention, and yeah, it was weird to go over to Whataburger covered in gray paint, but it was fun, and it was an amazing experience to have with my friends. Going to conventions is kind of expensive, and a lot of it was paid for by my mom, but it was nice to be able to use that saved up money to do such a fun thing together. And even if it was kind of embarrassing when we had to go get lunch, I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Our meditation reading is called A Prayer for the Faithifiers, and it's written by Hilary Allen. Gracious One, keep watch on the innovators, the trailblazers, the takers of risk. Invite us to be persons of vision and integrity. Help us to remember the mystery from which possibility is born. Lead us to honor the sacred space where ministries, idealists, and realists meet. Encourage us to imagine more than just what is. Fill our hearts in times of discouragement. Keep our eyes on the long now. Through our efforts, let us know the fruits of connection and a deeper faith. Amen. After the music begins, and after our moment of silence, I invite anyone who would like to come up and light a candle representing the joys and sorrows we hold in our hearts today. I now invite you into a moment of quiet contemplation. Before we move on, I would like to extend some special love and care to Barbara Bridey, who is courageously dealing with a serious illness. And she asked me to pass along her gratitude to all of you for the care and concern she's received. And the diehard UU she is, she says, although she's not completely convinced it will help, she wants your thoughts and prayers anyway. Keeping all the bases covered. So, take care, my dear. And now we're ready for our next embarrassing story.
Okay, so my name's Gabriel Ruiz, or Gabe for short, and it was a 7th grade project. It was for speech, and we had to create an advertisement, and I was in a group of 4, 2 guys and 2 girls, but we needed an extra girl, and back then I still had pretty long hair. And so I took up the part of being the extra girl because the guy kind of wussed out for the last 2 days. And so I wore a dress, makeup, and a bra. We received a 100, and it was a 6-minute video, so we went overtime. We received a 100, but I feel like the best thing that I received out of that was probably a better friendship with all the other 3 people. Yeah, that's all.
When Gabe first told that story, I asked him if he would do it again, and his way too honest answer was no. They don't always say what you want them to say. It's amazing. So now we're moving on to the embarrassing story number 3, which is my embarrassing story. But before I get on to the embarrassing part, I'm going to rewind and tell you a little bit about my childhood. Growing up, I didn't feel like I had a lot in common with my parents. We had very, very different interests. But there was one thing in particular we all liked to do, and that was dancing. I never took dance lessons as a kid, but I loved to put on records, if y'all have any idea what those are, and dance around in my room, right? I mean, a lot of us did that. A lot of us still do that, right? And dancing was special to my parents because they met in the 1950s at a sock hop, which is a dance to those who may be too young to know what a sock hop is. And so dancing is something they enjoyed doing their whole lives. At weddings, sometimes, they would hire the babysitter and go out just to dance. So that was the one thing we had in common that we could do. So let's fast forward a bunch of years. As I became an adult, I got into Latin dancing, and I learned a bunch of Latin dances. Now, my favorite is salsa. Salsa goes like this. It goes 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. But when you go out Latin dancing, they play other things than salsa, right? So you have to learn some other dances. So I learned the bachata, and people who do Zumba probably know this one, whether or not you know it's the bachata, but it goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, It goes like that. And then you also learn, a lot of people know this one, the cha-cha, right? Everyone knows that one. That's the 1, 2, cha-cha-cha, 3, 4. All right. And then there's the easiest one of all. What are you laughing at over there? Man, tough crowd. But the easiest one of all is the merengue. We had heard that one in the story. Because all you have to do the merengue is march. Da, 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 da. And that's the basics of the merengue. So then I got really bold, and I took some ballroom classes. And I learned the East Coast swing. And that one goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, rock, step. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, rock, step. And it turns out, by learning that dance, I was able to dance with my dad because that was really close to the dancing he and my mom did. So a number of years ago, this was less than a year after my mom passed away, my dad wanted to go on a cruise with a group of people from his 55-plus community. But he was the only one who wasn't part of a couple, and he didn't want to be a third wheel. So he invited me to go along with him. Free cruise. I mean, can you think of a better deal than that? So I did. And we were on the cruise ship one night. And if you've ever been on a cruise ship, you know that they have nightclubs where you can drink and you can dance. So I was out on the dance floor with my dad and a huge crowd of people just dancing and having a great time. And while we were dancing, a crew person came up to us with a little crew logo keychain and gave it to my dad. And he was like, "Oh, thank you, that's pretty cool." And he put it in his pocket, and we kept dancing. Well, pretty soon the song ended, and then there was an announcement from a crew member. "Now is the time for the cruise ship twist contest. Will the 3 couples who received keychains come on up? You will be our contestants." Yeah. I don't know how to do the twist. It was popular before I was born, a few years before. And, I know it kind of goes like this, but that's all I got. And if I really get into it, it starts to become the chicken dance, which really is alarming. And moreover, my dad and I like to dance, but we don't want to be judged. We don't want to dance by ourselves. We want to blend in with the crowd and have a good time. And so we were horrified. It was just shock and horror. I was looking at the emergency exits, planning a belly crawl out of the room, thought about commandeering a lifeboat, jumping overboard. All these thoughts crossed my mind, and I could see looking over at my dad, he was having those same thoughts. He had this look on his face. And I finally, realized we have to do something, say something. So I looked at my dad, locked eyes, and he said, "We can't do this." See, we Hawkmans, we are a gentle, wimpy people. We don't run to the spotlight. We run away from the spotlight. But then I said, "Dad, I think we have to do this, because if we don't, it'll be worse. We have to be good sports." Right? My dad can't lose his street cred with his 55-plus community friends, right? And finally, I think it, got to him, and he said, okay, we'll do it. So we're up front, 3 couples. We got assigned to be couple number 2 to dance the twist. So couple number 1 starts to dance. And that's when this little part of me, it's not a big part, that gets a little competitive, kind of kicked in. I was watching. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. We can take them. So soon it was over, and it was our turn. Now remember, I don't know how to do the twist. My dad does, because he was around during that time. He was fine. I was the weak link in this partnership. And the music started. So I started in on my twist, which quickly turned to the chicken dance. And then I was out of ideas. So I thought, okay, it's about pride now. I got to do something. So it just kind of morphed into the salsa, chicken dance, twist. I'm doing the salsa, chicken dance. And then that kind of got old, so I started to do the woo-woo, salsa, chicken dance, twist. And then I started thinking about all the dances from my youth, and I was doing this one. Does this have a name? That one. And I was doing the Running Man from college when I wanted to be a fly girl. I'm not really going to do the full running man, that's too bouncy. So I was doing that, and I just started going crazy. Just doing the woo-woo and the salsa and the twist and the chicken dance, and I was a maniac on the floor. 80s reference? Did you get that, 80s people? Okay. And I danced and just did this for what seemed like hours, but was probably only 30 seconds. And it was over, and we survived. So it was time for couple number 3. Same deal. They were very cute, but thought we could take them too. I'm pretty sure. So then came time for the judging. And the way they were going to judge the contest is measure applause of the crowd there. And they put their hand above your head, and they ask people to clap. So couple number 1, they get a pretty good amount of applause, pretty decent. Couple number 2, that's us. My dad's friends were there, and they had cocktails. So it was really loud, really up. Yes. Couple number 3, more loud applause. They had friends with cocktails too. It was really hard to tell who won, really, really hard. And they couldn't tell, so they had to have a runoff, and we had to do it between couple number 2 and couple number 3 again. Couple number 2, friends screaming and yelling. Couple number 3, friends screaming and yelling. I couldn't tell. Then finally the announcement was made. The winning couple is couple number 3. We didn't win the twist contest. To this day, I think we were robbed. I'm just saying. But at least the embarrassment was over. So I thought. On cruise ships, in the cabins, they have these little TVs. And one channel on the TV always shows all of the special events from the cruise on a continuous 24-hour loop. So, yeah. So my dad and I became minor celebrities on that cruise. 24 hours of seeing the woo-woo, chicken dance, salsa. And people would come up to us throughout the whole week and say, hey, weren't you that couple in the twist contest? And we'd be like, yeah. But you know what they would always say? They would say, you were the best. I think you should have won. See, I told you we were robbed. But the reason, it was an embarrassing moment, and we survived, and it was okay, but there's a little bit more to the story. Less than a year after that cruise, my father passed away very suddenly. And so that cruise was the last time I got to dance with my dad. And if we had chickened out and not done the choice contest, I wouldn't have this really embarrassing but kind of awesome story to tell you today. So that got me to thinking about all those opportunities in life we might not take because we're worried about being embarrassed or looking foolish or failing or being judged or talked about. If you take all those little moments of things we pass by and look at them for a whole lifetime, that's just sad, all those missed opportunities, aren't they? It's very sad. So my message here to you today is don't let those little opportunities pass you by. Don't worry about what other people are going to think. It doesn't matter. Do you, be you, take a chance, try something new. Because life is too short not to, right? So the final question is, if given the choice to sit it out or dance, what will you do? Dance. All right. Well, we are going to end the service with the song, Let It Be a Dance. And that's a tango, by the way. And then after our closing words, Aline is going to play us out, and she's playing a boogie woogie. So if you're anyone who is in the mood, we've got extra floor space today. I'm not going to force anyone, but if you want to dance, you are more than welcome to dance. Please rise and body your spirit.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Let the music say the words. And fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the beat. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow in the wind. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Time was born and old must die. A time for joy and time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong, then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
You may be seated. Our closing words today are from the wisdom of Rumi, the Sufi mystic. Dance when you're broken open. Dance if you've torn the bandage off. Dance in the middle of the fighting. Dance in your blood. Dance when you're perfectly free. Amen.